So another question that we've gotten from our Facebook community is asking if we can sort of do a demonstration of some of the S features on the Samsung Galaxy S4, which is the phone right here. S features essentially are Samsung's feature set that go beyond the standard pinch to zoom and finger swipe to go back and forth or up and down on something. In the previous model, the Samsung Galaxy S3, for instance, one of the S features was the ability to have the screen dim or go off when your eye wasn't looking directly at the phone. So some of that tracking stuff has been added back here, and it's been expanded upon. So we're going to go and show you a select few, and more importantly, where you can find the rest and sort of adapt them to your day-to-day use. Now, one thing to note is that these features aren't available across the board with the TouchWiz operating system that Samsung offers. In fact, most of these only work within a handful of apps, notably, for instance, the internet browser that I'm going to show you, which is not Chrome. It's the built-in one that comes with the Samsung Galaxy S4 and their photo app and a bunch of others. So be aware that this stuff doesn't necessarily translate across the board, but it may as time goes forward. So the first thing, and this is sort of the most helpful one, probably the most popular one. When you're viewing a website, you're used to scrolling up and down with your finger, but sometimes when we're out in the cold or we're out and about, we have gloves on, and it's not really easy. Screens don't, because of the way that capacitive screens work, they don't actually interface well with the hand. So what Samsung has done is a feature which essentially lets you just hover your hand over and scroll by, just scrolling up and down. So all I'm doing is sort of flicking my hand up and down, and it tracks my movements. Conversely, there is an option where it will also track your eye movements too. So if it sees your eye start moving to the bottom of the screen, it will actually start to scroll down for you as well. The way that the camera is positioned for the shoot that I'm doing here, I can't actually show you that, but it does work, and it works quite well. But again, this is sort of neat. You can just sort of flick up and down with your hand. See if I can do it again. Ooh. Well, all right. Listen, you saw it once. You know it works. Conversely, another interesting sort of, hey, I have gloves on and I can't use the phone properly feature. If you use their built-in Flipboard app, and see they have a widget for it here, there's an ability now to hover over an option and get an update there. So I'm not touching the screen, as you can see. I'm just sort of hovering my finger over there, and it zooms in on particular options. I'll do it here as well. Let's see if I can do it here. There you go, see? So that's neat. That's a neat option, and that's available in Flipboard right now, and like I said, a handful of other options that they have built in. Here's something that's not an S feature, but I found kind of nifty. So we all know that if we one finger scroll down on notifications, we get the notification bar. If you two-finger scroll, you get a load of other options. Not sure if this is specific to TouchWiz or to Android, or if this is new, but there you go. If you're a first-time Android user, I, like you, have found this, and I found that cool. The rest of the S features can be found under Settings, under My Devices. There is an option here, called Smart Screen and Air View, and this is where the majority of these features exist. So if we click Smart Screen, for instance, you can see a bunch of these are checked off, but they give you a description of what they do. A notable one here is Screen Rotation, which, if you turn it on, as you can see, there's a habit with these phones where if you sort of lean in a direction, the orientation adjusts. And that can be kind of cumbersome, because when you're trying to lie down in bed and read your screen, it sort of mistakes it for the phone being turned sideways. What this does is it sort of pays attention to the way that you're moving, and it keeps the screen locked to the proper orientation. So that's a handy feature to have. Additionally, of course, Smart Scroll, which I was saying with the eye, will detect your eye movement. Smart Stay is kind of neat. If you're looking at the screen stays on. If you look away from the screen turns off. Smart Pause is similar. If you're watching a movie and then look away for a second, it will pause the movie. Again, this only works in their built-in Samsung Galaxy Media Viewer. I'm not sure if the YouTube app takes advantage of that right now. That's one of those features that may come down the road. Air View is, like I was showing you before, if you hover your hand over, it gives you the preview. There's an additional option which is kind of neat, where if you have an incoming call, you can just swipe your hand across the screen, and it'll pick up the phone for you and go right to speakerphone. So that's sort of a neat option. There's other things too, like progress preview, and there's a web page magnifier. So again, go into Settings, go into My Devices, scroll to the bottom for input and control, and there's a bunch of options that Samsung offers you, and you can kind of get a sense of what you like. The final feature that someone asked us to show off was the Samsung camera, and they sort of wanted to see how this stuff works and all the new features. So the one that I'm kind of showing off here, let me see if I can just turn it off quickly. So this is the camera as it is. So as you can see, I'm sort of photographing a table, which isn't interesting. But there are cases where you're taking a group shot and you can't be in the photo, but you'd like to be. So this is a neat feature. You can click this little icon up here, and it puts this little postage stamp like image in the corner. And what this is this is the front-facing camera here, and it's using the back-facing camera here. So it now sort of adds you into the photo by proxy, and that's, I guess, a neat feature for families trying to take group photos that can't. Additionally, there are various new modes that are being added in, which you can sort of press in the mode button, and then you can sort of scroll through the various options. So you have your standards, like you have autofocus, and you have night, sports, panorama. You scroll the camera across the line, and it takes it stitches together a bunch of photos. This is neat. So Eraser, what it does is it takes 5 consecutive photos, and if you notice anything in the background, like a person walking by, which might be kind of bothersome to you, you can then paint out that person in one of the 5 shots, and it uses the other 4 to then pull the information of the background that's unobstructed by a person, and it sort of fixes the shot for you. Likewise, they have a similar photo feature called animated photo, and what this lets you do is it takes a small video, and then you can paint out the item that you want frozen in that image, and it kind of creates that. It's this sort of new fad with GIFs that you've seen it from like a movie or something. The picture is completely still except for one item is kind of moving. So you can now create these in the camera just with this simple feature. And of course, there's other stuff like you can take best face photography, and it does some correction here where it beautifies the photo and makes you look a lot nicer. So there's a lot kind of going on behind the scenes, but otherwise it's still the standard camera app, just with new sets of modes, and of course this sort of handy picture-in-picture feature. Otherwise, that's a quick preview of the S features on the Samsung Galaxy S4. If you ever want to get more information on Samsung phones or the Ting service, you can subscribe to our channel right now, and thank you for watching.